Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay. He's Wes.
I'm thirsty. You're Clay.
It's thirsty Wes. I'm Clay. And man, we had a crazy weekend last weekend. We're coming off the heels of the MPSF Invitational Tournament at Speaker Aquatic Center at UCLA, and a number of topics to go over tonight. Where we're at with the season rankings, where teams stand, which is not an easy task at this point in time, and we're going to get into a little bit about how decisions are made going into the NCAA championship weekend, and some new imaginings of maybe what that could look like that would give some teams new life in their season. But Wes, I think you might have some things to share as well.
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, couple of things we want to call out. Thank you to everybody who said hi to Clayton and myself in our inaugural broadcast. The feedback was so supportive.
On the mic, together for the first time.
For the first time, and
the other mic.
It really meant a lot. I mean, I had a great time. I think Clay had a great time. It was it was a wonderful experience, and the feedback has just been super, super positive. So want to thank everybody for the support. We are trying to change the way these games are viewed, and one game at a time. The other thing I want to call out is, the digital feedback, let's say, the emails we get. Water Polo Exchange on that forum has been really helpful. It's been really positive. There's obviously been some criticism, but we welcome that. And I think that, we're very appreciative of everything and everyone. And so be sure to check out Water Polo Exchange. Great place for discussion, and get yourself heard if you want. But more than that, it's been a great source for us and viewers. And so I want to thank everybody out there, not only in person, but also on Water Polo Exchange for checking us out. So moving forward, we have in action. This is going to be a pretty unbelievable episode. Okay. It really is. Like, we spent a lot of time together this weekend, which usually produces great things. I believe this is going to be a great episode for us, Clay. We do a lot of fun stuff together. So let's break it down. We really do. Let's break it down. We got the men's collegiate season. We are about a month in, all right? But before we get to that, here we go. College Polo Live is off and running. We're very excited about this, everyone. Extremely excited. And this will be happening Friday, okay? Friday, 6 p.m. at the University of Pacific. If you can get there, right? We are going to be live streaming College Polo Live on the Water Polo Wednesday YouTube. Subscribe to this channel. You will get a notification that we've gone live. I have been practicing for a while. We've got 3-4 cameras we're setting up. We've got interviews with athletic directors, interviews with players. We're going to recap games, preview games. We're going to break things down in live time, how they do in other sports, right? The model's there. Let's keep going. So I am really pumped about this. As Clayton knows, when I take something on, I dig into it pretty deep. And so we're going to do the best we can with it. It's not going to be perfect, but man, are we going to have a lot of fun. So that's Friday, September 26th, this week at the University of Pacific. College Polo Live, the inaugural kickoff, first ever episode. I'm exhausted from the weekend. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
All right.
So again, I just want to reiterate what you just said. So that is going to be on this channel, on this YouTube channel. So not on Overnight or ESPN and other channels. So if you're wondering where it's going to be, it's on this YouTube channel. So another reason to subscribe, so you can get that notification that it's up.
Yeah. And if you are at Pacific, come stand behind us. Get ruckus. Don't take us out or anything, but get crazy. We want it loud. Hopefully the mic doesn't pick up too much, but if you've got a sign, this is your chance. I love it. All right. So here we go. Key weekend results. Davis beating Pepperdine in the opener here, 14-12. Long Beach beats CBU. This game was amazing. It was amazing. In overtime as well. This was a this was a Friday night game, last game of the day, and it was awesome. It was awesome. CBU took it so personally. As we all know, Toring Stanley and William Whitstone left CBU, went to Long Beach in the transfer portal. that didn't stop. CBU did not slow down for a second. Faith waits and wait in water polo, baby. It's the CBU way. They are on the rise. Loved what I saw. We'll talk about them more in a second. LMU beats UCI. We saw LMU lose to UCI early in the season. This was their first game of the tournament. I'll be candid with you. We kind of talked about this. Clay, we've talked about LMU is scary, and that once as they start to roll, they're going to be better throughout the course of the season. This didn't surprise me, Clay. Was this surprising to you?
You know it's going to be close, right? I mean, like, you know, 3 goals is right there. But there is something about LMU's momentum. Now that they've beaten, UC Santa Barbara earlier, and how that was going to transition into this tournament. Like, I knew that they were going to give UCI a game. It's always difficult to beat a team again and again and again, right? So UCI winning that first game, like, you kind of think sometimes that team that's going to be coming at you kind of has an advantage. They got more of a chip on their shoulder going into that game. So we see different players really starting to step into their rhythm. We saw, Baldinetti playing into his own, and then of course Nico Furneaux. He's been going off as well, and Rimlinger has been such a bulldog in center there. So just a lot of stand-up players, and Carrasco's doing a great job.
He is. LMU will face UCI in their final game of the season as well, so we'll get a rubber match there. See who takes 2 or 3. Stanford beat Long Beach, but it took overtime. Long Beach jumped out to a 5-2, 5-3 first quarter. Then they just fell flat, like for Q2, Q3, second quarter, third quarter. They were I think they scored 2 goals or 3 goals in those 2 quarters combined. And it wasn't until Stanford really slowed things down that Long Beach came back. And by slowing things down, Long Beach got to rest on defense and exert themselves on offense. I was wondering, like, well, what happens if Long Beach doesn't play CBU in an hour-and-a-half game going into overtime, super emotional the night before, like late the night before? We'll talk about that in a minute. But so stay with us, because we had some interesting conversations just around the pool deck. We're very fortunate to have access to these coaches. They've been very gracious and wonderful to work with. And so we want to share some of the things we heard just about these games and whatever else. Davis then beat Long Beach later on in the weekend. Princeton beats UCI, but Princeton also lost this weekend. And I'm blanking on, they lost to UCSD. Princeton lost to UCSD. That didn't surprise me, though it's not on here. I don't know why I didn't put it on here. All right. UCLA beats Stanford in the semis. Cal beats USC in the semis. UCLA beats Cal in the finals. USC beats Stanford in the third place match in overtime. And then UCSD beats UC Davis. UCSD also beat Princeton on the weekend. I don't know the score, Clay. Maybe you know the score offhand. UCSD did get Landon Ackerstrom back, and I got to tell you that he's a difference maker. We've been saying it. He is a difference maker. So good to see him back in action. UCSD starting to rise, and exciting to see. So, Clay, any commentary here?
I mean, the 2 games that we did were UC Davis and Long Beach, and then UCLA and Stanford, and both were absolutely thrilling. And we called this out during the Davis Long Beach game of how exciting it is that Davis is having such a strong season. Like, they've always been like at the verge, but always just very much like kind of stuck underneath a lot of those like traditional NPSF teams back when we were playing, and they're very real contenders now. They've always been dangerous. Like, they'll give you a hard game, but now they're winning. Which is, this is a long time of hard work by Coach Layson that's put into this. It's been a labor of love, we all know. And so it's very gratifying, I'll say, seeing UC Davis step into this new identity, in this new fold, in this like 6th through 12th place range where kind of anybody can beat anybody.
very muddy in that 6 to 12. Yeah. So Davis surprising some people. I mean, I'm surprised. I think when we saw his classes, he said to us, like, you probably haven't heard of any of these guys. He's not wrong, but they've got some good leadership. Their freshmen are stepping up. They've got some good size in the center. Hitchcock is 6'8". He's tough to deal with. Very long. I loved watching Davis. I love the intensity. They had a number of good games. Even that first game, UC Davis beating Pepperdine a second time this season already. All right, so now 3 stars. Here we go. Robert Lopez, USC, 5 goals on 7 shots, 8.8 plus 8.8 per the 6-8 scoring system for Stanford. Wow. Just 5 goals on 7 shots is an incredible clip. He's not a volume shooter. Ben Four is more of a volume shooter. He had 4 goals on 9 shots, but he also had 4 blocks of steal and a drawn exclusion, plus 8.9 per 6-8 Sports. I value shot efficiency a little bit more than probably 6-8 Sports does, because I don't like missing. Like, if we have the opportunity to give somebody the ball and they're going to score 75% of the time, let's get them the ball, right? So, I put that in there just for reference, but scoring system takes into account 4 blocks, which is obviously big, 1 steal, a drawn exclusion. That's great. Bennett Axline, 5 goals as a center on 5 shots, 5 drawn exclusions. 5 is the number of the day. All that versus Princeton. I think there's something with him and Ackerstrom. I mean, they're boys. But Ackerstrom coming back,
like, meaning they're friends. Everyone, we're meeting.
They're really good friends. They're really good friends. There's something about when Ackerstrom plays, Bennett Axline plays better, and I don't know if it's the gravity of Ackerstrom, where he's pulling more defense to him and it opens up Bennett, or if Bennett just plays up because he's having more fun. I'm not sure, but this was a great game for him, especially against a Princeton team, and so UCSD kind of made a statement this weekend. Was really impressed with them.
Yeah.
All right, so teams on the rise, a little different segment here.
4. We didn't talk about 4. Go back.
We did talk about 4. 4 goals, 9 shots, 4 blocks, 1 steal, 1 drawn exclusion, plus 8.9.
Did I miss that? I thought we were talking about Lopez Duarte the whole time. My bad.
Thanks.
I'm the one falling asleep.
Thanks for paying attention to me. Thanks for taking All right.
Teams
forward. On the rise. Thank you. That really is a compliment. Stanford. I'll be candid with you guys. Look, like, Stanford impressed me this weekend. I think they're further along than we anticipated them being. I want to call something out here. Ryan Ohl, Max Zelikov. No, not Max Zelikov. Ryan Ohl, Botan Balo, Will Schneider are all sophomores. Ben Four is a sophomore. Max Zelikov redshirted last year, but he's a redshirt freshman, but he's in his second year within the program.
Yeah.
That's 5 guys. That's a young team. When 4, right? Zelikov was great versus UCLA. Like, great. Botan has been he had a little bit of a tougher weekend, but prior to that, he's been amazing. Right? Ryan Ohl I don't think he lost a sprint all weekend. He was fast. He's moving well through the water. He drives really well. He creates a lot.
He doesn't score a lot of goals, but I really think that he's responsible for opening things up for his team. Right.
Like, Tico doesn't score a lot of goals.
True.
But he opens up a ton for Ryder and the guys he's with. Ryan can score. Look, we saw him score 3 goals against Spain in the U20 Worlds. Yeah. But his role is more to open other guys up, and he does that really well. Like, he's moving. He's playing his role. He's a good teammate. Okay? So, like, in the water there, he's doing his job. And John Piero Di Martire has really risen. I know he played at UCLA, but he's had a couple of years off, and you can see his maturation through the season as he gets more comfortable. A little more volume shooting from that right side as a right-hander. They don't have a lefty, but he and Zelikov are pretty dangerous over there. 4, Botan, 1, 2 with Ohl, with all the movement that Ohl creates, and Schneider and Georgie in the middle. This team has immense potential. They're further along than I thought they would be, given how young they are. Right. Yeah. So it's good to see. There were a couple of moments where it showed that they were young. They blew a couple of leads late. They blew a 4-goal lead versus Long Beach late in the fourth quarter. They blew a 3-goal lead versus UCLA, but that will come with maturity. And so really impressed with them thus far. Long Beach, they impressed me in some ways. By the end of the tournament, they were so gassed. It was hard to know which Long Beach team. It wasn't really a Long Beach, the drop off when they're fatigued is pretty significant. But Caleb Francisco has been very good. I think Mark Fergola likes to be on the right side more than the left. Toring Stanley has been very good for them. Corbin Stanley's just been a beast.
Yeah.
Gabby Acosta has been a beast. Alec Johnson is kind of He does the dirty work. I think he loves that role for them. And then Jason O'Donnell in the back there. Now they've got Whitstone and Jeunesse. We saw both of them. I thought they both acquitted themselves quite well this weekend. And so that was really cool to see. In terms of CBU now, CBU to me is a fascinating team. And I talked to Lowry and Rosa after, and so one of the things we talked about, I was like, dude, that was amazing, right? They really took it personally. They really went after Long Beach and whatever else. And they go, look, we're going to be there at the end. We're going to be ready to go at the end. Their center play by Alex Rigetti, who's 6'5", he's in his final year, has been really good. But I'll tell you what, the guy who I was really stoked on this weekend was Rafa Martinez. He is a sophomore. He's 6'2", center. And he doesn't, I think that's like understating his height because it feels like he's like 6'4". It just feels like he's bigger than 6'2". Mm. Those two centers, right, are creating problems for teams. And it's allowing guys like Bugby and Andrea Nuzzo, who has an absolute like cannon of an arm, to really feast. And so we're seeing that. The balance there is really good. And I was just really impressed with them this weekend. Just the spirit, just the emotional like drive that they have. They're super positive with one another. And so really, really impressed by them as they continue to rise. I mean, I think we all thought they'd be done after losing Stanley and Whitstone. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. I think they're going to be really good come the end of the year. Knowing Rosa, right? They were really good last year at the end of the year. They weren't great all year, but they were really good at the end of the year. So that was really cool. UCSD we touched on, right? They've been very good. Getting Ackerstrom back
means something.
Huge. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Axline, Ackerstrom, Buzov, they got Felipe Ferreira, they've got Luca Homagera, they've got Eamon Hennessy, who's played quite well. I can't remember all the players. I like having Buzov in the back because he just wears you out. And where they took Princeton down was I think he really wore Otto Stotthart out, and it allowed for their defense to play more fluidly because the center position was like, I know Ante got 3 exclusions in that game, but I can tell you that he kind of will get his money's worth where if you get him excluded, you're going to have to work hard. And so he is a staple for them. It's huge that he's back for his 5th year. So that's great. LMU, we did see beat UCI, had a number of good games. I know Ben Sebatic had the flu or something. And so he unfortunately wasn't able to play. But I think they continue to grow. And that's a lot of fun.
I would have loved to see that last game against like UCSD.
Yeah.
For LMU, having like Bodic in there as another option would have been great. Because you could tell they were missing that center presence.
For sure. And then Davis, as you talked about, Clay. Like, these are teams that, look, CBU, we weren't sure about UCSD. We weren't sure about Stanford. LMU was kind of a wild card. UC Davis, we were like, well, they're losing a lot of production. They're losing a lot of players. These are teams that, like, are impressing. They're really impressing. Now, the flip side of that is there's some teams that maybe aren't, but we're trying to keep it really positive. So these guys, we're really impressed with these guys. So for those of you coaches, since I know all y'all watch, keep up the good work. Love to see the passion and competitive spirit, that enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Makes it, as a commentator, it makes it a lot of fun for us. And it makes our job a lot of fun there. We're not, when you become something I learned like last year is that when you become a commentator and you're paid to stand there and commentate on the game, which is the most privileged job ever, you're no longer a fan or supporter of one team. You're a fan of the game. And we've called this out before, Clay. Like, we love close games. I love overtime games. I don't mind having to stay an extra 20, 30 minutes. Are you kidding me? I love close games. I love competitive games. I love emotional games because it helps draw the viewer in. And I think that's important, because if I'm not pumped up, if we're not pumped up, how can the viewer be pumped up? So all that to say, really exciting time right now in our sport, far more parity than I think we've ever seen, Clay. It's been kind of cool. Any commentary here?
No, very cool. I mean, I think there were some comments that we were came off as being overly pro UCLA in the UCLA Stanford game that we called, but I don't hear it. I think what you're hearing, if you are hearing that, is that we're always rooting for the underdog in any given scenario, and Stanford was up for most of the game, so it gets exciting when the other team is coming back to tie the game, and so I think that's maybe what that energy was coming from. But yeah, whatever it is, like we are a fan of good water polo.
Yeah.
Period. We're a fan of good water polo and of good people. Not trying to defend ourselves necessarily, but perhaps like share like where we're coming from, I guess, if anything. But if it's not your team, it's not your team. Whatever.
Yeah. I'm a fan of natural goals out of center and Will Schneider.
Amen.
If I'm being honest. I love it when they're fun, man. It's the best. All right, so here we go. All right, so now we got our top 10. This was really hard.
Wes wasn't going to share this. He's like, I'm going to put a big red X over week 4 because it's just you got everyone beating everyone, and who's to say who's really better in a one game match, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you determine where teams really stand after this last weekend of Long Beach going on their 4th game against someone, or LMU not having their center? But I was like, let's not cop out. Like let's rank it how we see it and still start a conversation with it.
Yeah. Doing the best we can. UCLA 1. Cal moves into 2, up from 3. USC drops to 3. Fordham stays at 4. They've done nothing in my mind to be dropped.
This is something Wes and I talked at length about. I was like, okay, so like Stanford, we saw Stanford be up on UCLA, the number 1 team, for the majority of their game, and took USC to overtime. Like, why, Wes, wouldn't they be now ranked at least 4th above Fordham? And then Wes.
And I would say, well, they were also down for a large portion of the Long Beach game, and they blew a 4-goal lead to Long Beach, who is now ranked 10th, and had to play CBU the night before and was just gassed, where Stanford played Santa Clara and didn't really get tested. So I don't know. We're going to find out. Look, Stanford plays San Jose State this week. Stanford plays Fordham next month. It's all arbitrary anyways. We're even going to talk about how arbitrary this regular season is in just a second. So whatever. So Stanford 5 for us. You can vote how you want. San Jose State 6. UCSD jumps all the way up to 7 after beating Davis. Pacific stays at 8. Pacific moves up to 8. Davis 9, Long Beach 10. I need to go look at Pacific's schedule. I know they have USC this week because we're there for, what is it, Clay? We're there for college Polo Live.
Polo Live.
Yeah, there you go. Should have you voice over the intro. Pacific will play CBU, obviously, in their conference, but they're not going to play Davis. They played him in an exhibition, which doesn't count. Right, I know talking to Coach Graham, he played everybody pretty liberally and played a second-string goalie. It's an opportunity for guys to get experience and for him to see things maybe he's unable to see. He's not going to.
People are like, they beat Pacific, and it's like, it's not apples to apples.
It's not apples to apples. You can only maximize one thing. We like to say you're either maximizing winning or you're maximizing playing time and evaluation. And so when I talked to him, he's like, no, we lost. He admitted we lost the exhibition, but that wasn't our objective. Our objective was to see how
his guys experience.
Play. That's right. And so it's important to remember that. I think he approaches that game a little bit differently if he doesn't. And so they don't take on Long Beach or Davis this year. They will get San Jose State, obviously. They'll get LMU. They'll get CBU. They've got UCLA and Stanford. So they're going to get their licks. They're going to get their opportunities. A little surprised they're playing Stanford and UCLA on a away weekend in November. November 7th and 9th. I will tell you why that is, because the criteria, as we learned last year, really favors your last 10 game strength of schedule. So why not play the hardest games in the end? James Graham's a pretty smart guy. We'll keep going forward. So here we go.
If we're going by that criteria.
All right. So on Friday night, not only do we have College Polo Live starting at 6 p.m. at Pacific, we also have the USC versus Pacific at Pacific game with me commentating at 7 p.m. So we'll go straight from College Polo Live on YouTube, on the Water Polo Wednesday YouTube, into the Pacific game at 7 p.m. Prior to that, I'm going to jump down right here. San Jose State takes on Stanford in what I think is the biggest matchup thus far of the year for Stanford. I mean, they solidified themselves as they're good. Can they beat San Jose State, which plays a very similar style and is very patient? I will be on that game as well on ESPN Plus at 12 p.m. Okay, on Friday. So I'm going to go from there. Pray to God it doesn't go to overtime. I'm going to hop in the car and drive 3 hours out to Pacific in traffic. And then we got to pray as well that my battery in the car doesn't run out. And then I'll be doing College Polo Live at 6 p.m. USC versus Pacific at 7 p.m. And that'll be my Friday. And so that'll be a good Friday. On Thursday, however, UCSD versus LMU. That'll be at UCSD on ESPN Plus. On Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m., which I will be up for because it's on the East Coast, so it's a 10:30 a.m. start. Fordham takes on Princeton. Their first of two matchups with Princeton this year at Fordham on CWPA TV. So that can be found on CWPA TV.
CPWA TV.
Sorry. Yeah, CWPA. I'm a little
CWPA.
dyslexic. Yeah, CWPA, excuse me, TV. And so that'll be 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is great for getting me up early. I love it. And then, of course, that afternoon, Santa Clara versus UC Davis. I'll be on that game as well, also on ESPN Plus. So a couple of big games this weekend. I think that Santa Clara Davis game is going to be very interesting because I think Santa Clara is doing a very nice job right now. We'll see how they play. They're starting to come together. We're starting to see shades. Right? They're not going to win like major tournaments, but I am really impressed with what they're doing right now at Santa Clara. So I want to highlight that game. I'm excited to be at that game. There will be a game Sunday. It'll be Stanford versus Pepperdine on overnight. I'll be on that game as well. For those of you who just love listening to me. If you don't like listening to me, this is going to be an excruciating weekend for you. So there's that. So really good, really exciting weekend here. I know that UCLA has LMU this weekend. Don't sleep on that LMU team. I know they're prepping. I know they're taking it very seriously at UCLA. We'll just keep moving forward. All right. So where do we go from here? I love it. Regular season. What does it mean? So this is our start of our next segment. We didn't do an interview this week because we really felt very passionate about this next segment. I encourage all of you to listen to this segment because this is going to be quite a bit different than things we normally do. We love doing the scores and the highlights and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about the regular season and what does it all mean. And we have a new playoff format. So here we go. All right. So the first thing we need to know, we did some discovery. We went way back, and I'm going to credit a friend of mine who is traveling right now, who has helped me with all of this, put all this data together, and has really been great about communicating with me on what's gone on and help me out here because I don't have all the time in the world. In the past 15 years, only MPSF teams have made it to the finals in all but 2 years. However, their regular season record has not indicated which teams will. We tried to find teams. We've tried to find some correlation between regular season experience and performance and championships. There wasn't any. There's a little, but not much. Cal has 4 championships in the last 15 years. Cal has 4 championships, 5 appearances. They're batting 80%. UCLA has 5 championships on 8 appearances. Stanford has 1 championship in 2 appearances. USC has 5 championships in 13 appearances, which is fascinating. And Pacific has 0 championships, but has been there twice. That's the last 15 years. But things have changed in the last 15 years. The MPSF isn't the same as it was 15 years ago. They had the GCC come out. That got disbanded. There was the WWPA. That got moved to D2. Okay. And now we have the WCC and we have the Big West. And so things have changed. So we said, let's make it more relevant. So since 2016, these are the regular season records of each MPSF team versus MPSF teams since 2016. Okay. And we added Pacific since they've made the finals. Cal is 21-19. They've won 4 championships in four appearances. So they're barely over 500. But they've won 4 championships in 4 appearances. UCLA is 24-16, by far the most dominant, most consistent regular season team. They have not lost to anybody outside the MPSF conference in, well, certainly not since 2016. I don't know the last time they did. 24-16 regular season, by far the most dominant, most consistent, which Adam talks about a lot, being consistent. They've won 3 championships in 4 appearances in that time period. Stanford is 15-21 in MPSF against MPSF teams. 9-14 since 2022 when Flax took over. So Vargas was 6-7, and then Flax is 9-14. Okay, these are again against MPSF teams. They have won 1 championship and 1 appearance. That championship came in Vargas. I forget the exact year, but he won. He was the winner of that one, despite being 6-7 in regular season play. Pacific is 3-41. Only team better than Pacific over this same time period. Clayton, I'll give you $1 if you can guess. I knew it, but do you know?
What was the question?
What team has a better record against MPSF teams since 2016 than Pacific? Any idea? It's going to make you laugh. Yeah, time's up.
It's not Pepperdine, is it?
No, it's not Pepperdine. UC Santa Barbara. Remember Nathan Puentes, Cole Brosnan, Leo Uno?
Oh, those guys.
Remember Sam Nangle? Remember Young?
That was a good team.
Remember that team?
Yeah.
Pacific has 0 championships, 1 appearance in the last 6 years. Sorry, in the last 9 years, since 2016. They're 3-41 against MPSF teams. All 3 of those wins, one-off games. Never in a tournament. So what does this mean? It means there's no real correlation between championships and regular season record. You would think that if Cal had 4 championships...
Pause real quick, because this is an aggregate of all the games played against each other in the last 15 years, as opposed
since
to
2016. So like 9 years, nine and a half.
2016, as opposed to like that team's season where they won that championship.
Yes, totally fair. Great call out, Clayton. Boy, am I glad you said that. So let's go back then. Why don't we look at the 2022 Cal Bears team that won the national... Sorry, not 2022. They were dominant in 2022. We can go to 2021. Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
Go on.
Yeah. Okay. Their conference record in 2021... Oh, it didn't go. There we go. Okay. They lost to USC, and then they beat USC. They beat Stanford in overtime, and they beat UCLA. They also lost to Stanford in the MPSF championships. They lost to USC in the MPSF championships. So not dominant in 2021. 2022, they only lost 2 games all season, both of which were against MPSF teams. In 2023, they lost 5 games through the season. They lost to UCLA. They beat Stanford. They lost to UCLA again. They beat USC. They lost to Stanford. Okay. And then they lost to UCLA a 3rd time. They beat Stanford. They beat Stanford again in MPSF championships. And they lost to USC in MPSF championships. And then finally, after losing to UCLA 3 times, beat UCLA in the NCAA finals. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes there's a correlation. Not always. I mean, you've already lost to UCLA 3 times in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And, I mean, UCLA is more consistent, but they're always winning. But that doesn't mean they're always going to win NC2As. USC, however, is the most surprising. 6 appearances, but 18-22 in regulars in non-NC2A tournament play. That means they know how to peak at the right time. They know how to get there, and they know how to win their semifinal. The final's a little elusive. But look, you're not going to win them all. And sometimes it takes just getting that kind of monkey off your back, they say, you know? And then once it happens, it'll happen a lot more. And it's just time for them, I think, because Pinta's fairly new. He's been to 6 appearances since taking over. And I don't know. Well, I don't know. That might not be the right time frame. Pinta has 5 appearances, which is amazing in like 9 years. It's amazing. It's more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a win yet. It'll happen. But what's amazing to me is he still makes the finals despite an 18-22 regular season record. That's incredible to me. That means he knows how to taper his team, how to get his teams to rise up, right? And make it through that semifinal to get there. He's giving them the opportunity to. So it's just a matter of time, I think, till they win some. But it's fascinating to me to look at this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You'd think like the team with the best overall record would then have like the most appearances or championships, right?
So what does that tell us? It tells us regular season doesn't always dictate what happens at the end of the season, which is fascinating. But that doesn't mean we should rule people out. Now, what I mean by that is this. So we went back. We looked at a few things. We looked at which conference regular season champions didn't make it to the NCAA tournament because they lost in their conference tournament. This is really interesting.
So again, this is during regular season play.
So during regular season play, you win your regular season. You are the regular season champion.
The number 1 seed at your conference championship.
Your conference tournament. Right. And then you don't make it. Okay. So we went all the way back to 2018 because that's when conferences started to somewhat diverge. Okay. 5 of 8 years, the regular season champion didn't make the tournament. That's bananas. That's more than 50% of the time. I could see it if it were like 25%. I got it. UOP, undefeated in conference, loses to CBU in semifinals. CBU ends up being a pretty darn good team.
Yeah.
UCI, undefeated in conference last year, loses to Long Beach State in finals.
UCI doesn't get to go.
UCI doesn't get to go. But they beat Cal. I mean, they had some big wins that year. They were a good team last year. Pepperdine and LMU go 5-1 in conference play. They tie for the regular season champion of the WCC, and San Jose State wins the tournament in 2023 of WCC. What? UCI wins regular season and the tournament in 2023. Pacific and Long Beach share regular season championship. Pacific wins the tournament against Long Beach in the GCC. Long Beach wins regular season and tournament in 2021. So things were kind of normal in 21, 22, and 23 for those groups. But in 2019, Pacific wins regular season. Pepperdine wins the tournament, GCC. And in 2018, Pacific wins regular season. Long Beach wins tournament. Okay. So this brings us to the at-large bid, which shouldn't really be called an at-large bid. We all know that Pacific was not at this tournament this last weekend because James Graham believes in that scheduling matters, that your RPI matters based on the criteria set forth. Not sure how true it is anymore after last year, but that's in the past. But he's doing what's best for his team and giving his team the best chance to win games. He knows that if he plays teams in a one-off game, so if you play no games Friday and play somebody Saturday, an MPSF team, gives his team the best chance to win. Further, he doesn't risk injury from playing 4 games in 2 days. Less than 2 days, really. Okay? So there's some components there. But around the pool, I started asking coaches, why would they play in a longer tournament, a 4-game tournament in 2 days? Basically, Friday at noon to Sunday at noon or whatever it was. That's 48 hours. You're playing 4 games. That's 1 game every 12 hours. That's pretty tough on your body. Okay? Why would you play? Now, the answers were all very interesting. They were all really different. There was one common thread among all of them. But the differences were we want to play against really good teams because that makes us better. We believe we should, go out and do what we can. We just want to focus on getting this experience. But the one thing every coach said to me was, because I would ask them, does this hurt your at-large bid? And the answer I got was, we'll never get an at-large bid. It's not set up for us to get an at-large bid. which is really discouraging to hear. They said the large will never really go outside of the MPSF. It's only happened very rarely. So we don't really think about that. One coach went as far to say, I don't care if I lose every game this year, as long as I win my conference championship tournament. Which is crazy. Shouldn't regular season matter? Shouldn't we have these teams?
That's what we've seen. That's what we've seen happen. It actually doesn't matter if you win these games or not. It doesn't matter if you go undefeated or not.
It doesn't matter.
It's inconsequential.
Why bother? It would be better for our sport if regular season mattered. If strength of schedule really mattered. We would have bigger tournaments. If there wasn't a consequence, or as big of a consequence, to playing in an overnight MPSF invitational, playing in a Triton invite, or whatever it may be. So Clayton and I talked for a long time today, which really made my Monday, because I love these opportunities to talk to Clayton. I do. I really relish our long chats. And here's what we came up with. So I'm going to let Clayton talk about this.
So I'll just read what we have on the slide here for those listening in their car otherwise. So the idea here is a new playoff qualification format to get the bid to go to NC2As. I've been burned by this personally in the past. I think that was 2008, where there's a lot of gray area sometimes for that at-large bid, and people have to make a decision. And whether it's right or wrong, I'm not here to say. But how do we create increased parity in our sport is this idea. And we saw, I think we can all agree that this is the most, we've said the word parity ad nauseum already. It's the most parity we've seen in a season yet to date. And so if things have changed, then what else has changed? And one of them is the growth of these new conferences. When everything was jammed into the MPSF, when we were playing, it was really discouraging because you knew only so many teams were going to go to NC2As. The tournament's expanded. There's more conferences now, and we have more players, good players, going to different schools because they think they have a shot in their own route to potentially become a national champion. And so how do we fan that flame? Here's the idea. Each conference gets one guaranteed, gets two guaranteed bids, rather, I think. So one for the regular season champion. So this means that if you are undefeated in your conference play in season, you have earned yourself a spot.
Or you just win your conference in regular season. If you're the number one,
or you don't have to go undefeated. You win your conference.
Right. Just win your conference. Whatever that is,
you win your conference. You don't have to go undefeated, whatever. Okay. And then you get into your conference championship tournament. And the winner, as it is right now, the winner of the conference championship game gets to go.
Right.
So if you have a champion of the regular season that wins the championship, okay, great. It goes to the next quote-unquote at-large bid within that conference. Who has the next best record? So that these games are all really
we decided
something.
To play on second place team in the conference tournament. So whoever finishes the season kind of the highest. And let me say this as well.
We did?
We did. It's okay.
Well,
we did. Let me say this as well. This is not
couple different ways to go about it. These are all we're still ideating on this, clearly.
Yeah. The large spectrum, the high macro view of this still comes out the same. When you qualify for the Olympics, there are multiple Olympic qualifying events, okay? And let's say Spain qualified by winning the World Cup. Great. For water polo. And then they go to World Championships. And they win World Championships. Well, they don't get to qualify twice. What happens is the team underneath them who gets second qualifies for the Olympics. Okay? So this isn't unknown. This is not like crazy. Like, this is being done already. So if Spain were to win World Cup and they've already qualified and they go win World Championships, and this happens all the time, then the next team who finishes second in World Championships would get the Olympic bid, assuming there's only one. But sometimes there's three. So second, third, and fourth get the Olympic bid. Okay? And so this is not like never before been done. We're not trying to recreate the wheel here. So, all right. So there, I want to call that out. Go ahead, Clay.
Okay. Well, so the top 4 conference champions receive a bye. So there's 5 regular season champions plus 1 conference champion receive a bid.
Correct.
Plus 1 national at-large bid.
Yeah.
So who has the next best record under that? So why? Because we don't want to penalize the way things are right now. And this is why it's been so disheartening, as Wes said earlier. Doesn't matter what other teams' records are. It's always going to go to that third team in the MPSF. You're going to have an MPSF champion go, and then there's 2 at-large bids that get to go after that. Who's going to get those next 2 at-large bids? It's going to be MPSF.
Yeah.
Nearly every single time.
That's what we hear.
That gives that third MPSF team, which is still always going to be a phenomenal team, and you don't want to, remove them away from like a good tournament, right? So we're not trying to punish the MPSF for like being good either, right? That next 1 national at-large bid that comes underneath everybody else, the next best record would go to whoever. It might not be MPSF, but if you have a next best record that is a Stanford that went last year over Pacific, then there you go. That would be their opportunity. But because Pacific would have their own route, if not winning their championship, then by having the best record in their conference played during season.
Yeah, and we want those 2 objectives here. 1, we want to expand the field. 2, we want every regular season conference game to matter, which we just showed you didn't. So why bother? So 1 team gets hot at the right time, they get to go. The NCAA tournament, March Madness, has been expanded because of this exact thing. They're leaving good teams out, so they're growing it. Let's get more good teams in. All right. So then there's the D12 team. That leaves 12 teams.
D2.
The other thing, D2. The other thing I want to talk about is this. The conference champions get the bye. The tournament conference champion, not regular season, tournament conference champions get the bye. The top 4. Okay? That's important. Because if you're in the MPSF and you're UCLA and you've been number 1 all season and you won the regular season, yes, you have locked up the regular season bid in this scenario. You've locked up an at-large, basically. You've guaranteed yourself an at-large. Okay? What it means is he doesn't have to taper for MPSF tournament. And he still is going to get the number 1 seed, which I think is wrong. Yes, they were great all season. Pacific was great all season last year too. Okay? They shouldn't get the number 1 seed. You need to win your conference tournament like USC did and be the best team at the end of the year. That's what every other conference is, basically. And that's an important distinction as we jump through this.
Well, because we talk about RPI.
Right.
And we talk about like strength of schedule and also like performance over the last 10 games. Right? Why
what
do we
does it make?
why are we talking about the last 10 games? Because we are recognizing that there is a progression that teams have and that there is a ramping up to excellence towards the end of the season. And again, not that those games early in the season don't matter, like not at all, because you're
right now
lying.
they don't. Right now they don't.
But with this model, we're saying that they still would. Right, you still need to win. You want to win those first games to be your conference champion of the season, right? But we are also rewarding teams for improving, getting better and better and better. So if you win that conference championship, you get the bye.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what it would look like. So you would have the winner of MPSF, and what we did is we took the rankings of basically how the conferences, I think, laid out last year. So MPSF was the 1. Mid-Atlantic.
This is the model, not showing the teams first.
Not showing the team. So MPSF would be the 1. Mid-Atlantic was ranked 2nd, basically, of the conferences. I know that USC, UCLA were ranked ahead of Fordham, but that's in this format, that wouldn't be the case. You'd have MPSF 1, Mid-Atlantic 2, WCC 3, Big West 4. And this is the same way football does it with the college football playoff. Okay. So like Texas, who maybe didn't win their conference, still gets in, or Ohio State, who lost to Michigan, still gets in. Right. Okay. So here you go. MPSF would then, okay. So then those are the conference champions. They're the 4 highest rated conference champions. MPSF, Mid-Atlantic, WCC, Big West. Then you would have the regular season champions and the national at large plus D2 fill in teams 5 through 12. So 5 would then be Northeast. That would be the next highest. So that would be the final conference champion who is not in the top 4. They would get the D2 team. They've earned it. They're a conference champion. That's the closest thing to a bye they can get. They would get the D2 team. This is why regular season will then matter. Because your full schedule, you're going to want to show you belong in those top 4 if you win your conference tournament. Then you go MPSF regular season champ, the WCC regular season champ, because this, again, goes to how their schedule is. I don't think Navy, right, based on RPI and strength of schedule and quality wins and so on and so forth, I don't think Navy would be placed ahead, or Brown, who finished second at the conference tournament for Northeast, would be placed ahead of a WCC team or an MPSF team or a Big West team. So there's some rankings that occur there. It's almost like a reseed. So MPSF regular season gets the 6, WCC regular season gets the 7, National at large, let's say, gets the 8, Big West gets the 9. Now you could put Big West 8, National at large 9, balance it out, figure it out, strength of the schedule, strength of the team, so on and so forth. That's fine. Then you'd have your Northeast regular season champ, your Mid-Atlantic regular season champ, and then your D2. This makes things really fascinating, Clay. This was Clay's idea, by the way. I got to give him some credit. This was really, it was. This is all you. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious.
What does this look like? Curious. What does it look like with the teams? So USC would be the 1 seed. Look at these games. Sure, Princeton-Salem. Princeton's going to win that game. But Salem's going to lose the first game no matter who they play. But it's a better shot for Salem than it is for with Princeton than it is UCLA. So, okay. Princeton gets Salem. The winner of that takes on Long Beach. Princeton-Long Beach. That's a great game.
I love it.
Last year. CBU would get the 3. Okay. They would take on UCLA or Navy. Let's assume UCLA, right? But it's not a walk. I mean, they're going to beat Navy, but it's a little bit harder than Salem. Okay. And again, this is not perfect. I see the craziness of having Princeton at 5 and then they get Long Beach. CBU at 3 gets a harder.
It's first draft, guys.
It's first draft, but just stay with me.
You get the idea.
You get the idea. UCI Stanford first game. What a game that would be. I know they played last year. I know Stanford beat them. But if I'm UCI, I'm pumped because I won my regular season and I'm still in the NCAA and I still got a chance. And then you got Pacific and Brown, and then Pacific and Fordham would match up again because Pacific won the regular season despite CBU winning. Okay? So you got Pacific, Fordham, CBU, UCLA, which is no walk in the park, Long Beach, Princeton, and USC versus probably Stanford. Look at those quarterfinals. And then you march along. And the key here is this. We know that UCLA, let me put it this way. USC had the hardest road of the two between USC and UCLA. USC had by far the hardest road last year. They had to play Fordham, which took them to the brink, okay, in a night game, and then come back midday next day. Brutal. Right?
That was after CBU.
It was after CBU. That's where I'm going backwards here. Brutal.
Okay.
Brutal against CBU. Brutal against Fordham. They were gassed. They didn't even warm up. I saw half the team was just like, let's just go. It's just not the same thing. And I'm not taking anything away from UCLA. They won the championship. They deserve it. They were by far the best team. That's not the point. I just want parity. I just want close games. I want good games. The point is to put more competitive games and give more teams the opportunity. You know? What if Brown comes out and beats Pacific? I just think this is a more exciting weekend. It's 4 games: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah,
Clay.
It's counter to what we've talked about a lot earlier of like the tournament structure and like wanting to get the best water polo out of people and people not being tired.
Yeah.
But the difference here is that criticism is usually on multiple games in one day.
That is the criticism. One game
Right,
a day
and so
is
like
manageable.
one game a day is more manageable. So
Yeah.
like it's still kind of in line for what we'd like to see. And like, could this be tweaked a little bit? You know, do we want a USC to play a Stanford, a 1 versus 3 seed of MPSF in the quarterfinals? Maybe, maybe not. But some of these games, like, I think it makes it so much more exciting. It really gives these other conferences it's case in point within the conferences themselves, because you have these teams do so well during season, but then it's really anyone's game when it comes to that WCC championship weekend, when it comes to that Big West championship weekend. Why not the same for the NCAA tournament? Why not a true March Madness for water polo? Obviously not true March Madness because we're not expanding it to that
and
size.
it's not March.
Not yet. And it's not March for another point. But like this really is the closest that at this realistically I think that we could get to something like a March Madness where really anyone has the opportunity. Not anyone, stay with me guys, but more teams than ever would really have a shot at having that one game where you can beat that one team that gets you one step closer to that national championship. And I think that's good.
Yeah. A couple of things here. It makes regular season mean something. It encourages teams to play harder games versus avoiding a tournament type of thing. Okay. And like harder games, I mean like lining up against, for whatever reason, Pacific and Fordham didn't play any MPSF teams last year. Pacific got penalized for that when they didn't win their conference. CBU ended up being a pretty good team at the end of the year. That's a bummer for Pacific, right? That's a bummer. UCI, they played a tough schedule, right? They didn't win against the MPSF teams. Fine. But like, we want parity, right? And so this gives UCI, who earns the regular season champion, Pacific, who earns the regular season champion, they get a berth. And if they want the bye, they got to win the tournament. I don't like the idea that you work so hard all season and then you lose in your tournament championship, and even though you were the best team all season, you just weren't the best team on that team that day, and it's gone. I also don't like the idea that a team like UCLA, who's been number 1 all year, or USC in previous years, I mean, there was a long time USC was number 1 all year, can coast through the MPSF tournament, not taper, and be guaranteed a 1 seed with the 12. That doesn't feel right. USC won that tournament. The reward should be, I earned the bye. They were the best team at the end of the year. So, because the same criteria of these hardest 10 games, last 10 games, going to Stanford, saying Stanford was better than Pacific because they had a harder last 10 games, which they won that portion of the criteria. Stanford did. Gets Stanford into the tournament, but leaves Pacific out. So why the USC, who has a better last 10 games and bigger wins, has to be seated below UCLA? That makes no sense. Well, UCLA had a great season, but so did Pacific. Okay? So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to balance things out. Furthermore, there's a tapering aspect of this. If a team doesn't have to taper for their conference tournament, they get to train 2 more weeks in high intensity. Okay? And then anybody else. While everybody else tapers for conference tournament, then they have 2 weeks to kind of get their fitness back up and taper again. That's a very quick hill, if you will. It's very hard to do. And so, somebody said to me, the team that wins the MPSF tournament doesn't usually win the NC2As. Well, that's because the team that wins the MPSF tournament, I get that. They don't always get the 1 seed. They tend to get a tougher draw. And I don't know if that's really fair. They just won the biggest tournament of the year, their conference tournament. They should get a bye. They should get a higher seed, right? So that being the case, that's kind of the argument here. It's not perfect, but it's a thought in a direction. Maybe not the right direction, but it's a thought in a direction.
Is that enough caveats for y'all?
So there you go. I thought this was fascinating.
I bet a million of people have thought of this before. We discussed it, but curious if anyone has, poke holes at it or improve upon it, iterate.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it would feel like, still knowing that because everyone's still going to vie to win the championship, right?
The conference for tournament?
The most part. Yeah, their conference tournament championships. Yep. And just, I can already feel how the energy in these different teams, the UCIs, the Long Beaches, the Peppermines, the LMUs, would feel knowing that this was within reach, and you would get the combination of an even more competitive regular season with the extra bite at the very end, knowing that you could still have a shot and actually make an appearance at NC2As. Now, is it a budgetary thing? Is it a whatever? I have no idea. This is beyond logistics. We're just dreaming here. But I would be thrilled to see this model in play. You still get your top three, most likely NPSF teams in there. You still get your D2 team in there. Everyone's rewarded.
Yeah,
with this model, it seems.
And for those of you who say, well, what about Cal? I think that's a great question. Because last year, Cal was a sub 500 team that lost to Pepperdine and UCI. They wouldn't have earned it. They didn't earn it. If they won the MPSF tournament, great.
Number one seed.
But that's not who they were. And they didn't earn a fourth at large or a third at large from their conference. I don't think those teams should be guaranteed for all of that. It would completely devalue the MPSF tournament. Why have it at that point? If the winner doesn't even get the one seed and everybody makes it, just throw it away. We'll just all train. So all that to say, we appreciate your patience and we hope you enjoyed this portion of Water Polo Wednesday. Want to call out again, thank you so much to everybody. It's been, we just feel so blessed and so lucky. Have a great weekend, everybody. A great week to all the teams as we get to watch some really good water polo. I think this is going to be a great weekend of water polo coming up. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel, 6 p.m. Friday night. I'll probably look crazy tired as it is and because I'll be coming, but you know what? We're pumped. We'll find the energy, slam a Diet Coke, and we'll rock and roll. Anyway, that's all we have for tonight. Congrats to UCLA for winning, and Cal for taking second, USC for taking third, Stanford at 4. Good night, everyone. And remember, life is short.
Score goals.
Have a great day.